Hi, everybody. Welcome to Below Deck Spurts, a podcast that recaps current Below Deck seasons with two Midwest millennial siblings. I'm Morgan,
I'm Lane.
and today we're recapping Below Deck Med Season 8, Episode 15, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
We practiced that before we hit record.
Is that right?
I I don't know.
Sound it up. It's got to be enthusiasm, because enthusiasm,
Oh yes.
right? Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is either.
It's a show.
I Yeah, that's all I know about it.
That's all I know, too. So,
Isn't it like a
anyway, that's the
I
name
don't
of
know.
the episode.
I don't know.
And as you can see, we are recording remotely this week. I am in Arizona and Lane is not.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to miss a beat, so we have to record remotely this week.
Yeah, how's the weather down there? It's 13 degrees here. How's it down
Well,
there?
13 degrees for the Midwest right now is good. It was like
Yeah.
negative 20.
Doesn't help my car out of the driveway.
No. No, the weather, not to like sound like I'm not complaining. The weather's great, but it was a little chilly today. It was a little more chilly here than it has been. It was like in the 60s.
Oh my
Um,
god. How did
I
you
know, sucks.
survive?
It sucks. But no, the other days before were like when it just hits 70 and it's sunny, it's good. Um, but when you're not in the sun, it can be a little chilly.
Oh no.
So, anyways, the way these episodes work, if you're just joining us today, which if
And
you
you made
are
it
just
through
joining
that.
us today, wow, wow. The way our episodes work is we start with two quick fun questions for each other based on this week's episode, or just, I guess, the season in general. And then once we get into the episode, we'll focus on like 2 to 4 main points throughout. The topics I have for today are It's the Last Charter and It Can't Leave the Dock, which is basically the theme of the entire episode.
Yeah.
Um, Laura is sick now, so she's out, but Haley is back. And then kind of at the end, the build up for like the Luca being a Playboy thing, Natalia returning. Like they are just basically they used this episode to build up the season finale next week.
Yeah, it was just a build-up episode. That's all it was.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of drama. It was just the one of the primary guests complaining the entire time.
Yeah, which I'm sorry. I mean, I wouldn't have been this guy. Like I would have been like, "Hey, this is my vacation. Like I'm not going to ruin my own vacation by just
Yeah.
being like negative 100% of the time." But like I can empathize with him a little bit. Like um
Yeah.
it sucks. I mean, I wrote that in my notes like 3 times. Like that would suck so much.
I know, and I at first I'd be pissed off, right? But then after a little bit you're like, okay, I'm paying a lot of money. I'm
Right.
here. I have a whole staff waiting on me.
Yeah.
Make the best of it, you know?
Right.
Because otherwise it's a
I know.
complete failure.
Yeah, so while I can empathize with him a little bit, and again, maybe we literally just saw those moments where he was like complaining, and I think I would have made some of similar comments, like, but then yeah, you have to get to a point where you're like, this is my vacation, I'm paying for it, this is what it is, and I'm gonna take advantage of everything that I can.
Yeah. I mean, even they're taking him to Portofino where
Yeah.
it's all paid for, you know, so you're getting a vacation out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. We didn't see much of that, right? We just saw them say like, oh, we're gonna go to Portofino and
Yeah. And then
we
they're
haven't seen
like,
that yet.
oh, are we taking the boat there? It's like, no, we've been over this. Boat's stuck there. You guys saw the waves. Not good. All right. Relax.
You guys saw the waves on your port tour with the shipping containers, okay?
Can I?
What else do you want?
What do you want? But that goes perfectly into my question of the day.
Okay.
Scale to 1 to 10, how much would Dad love going on that tender ride? He would have loved it.
I mean, yeah, he would have loved that tender ride for sure to look at all the boats.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to think, like, to even go one step further. If Dad was on this, we talk a lot about our dad. He's like a main character.
It
Um,
kind of is, yeah.
if he was on this charter, I don't know if how would he have reacted? Like, he would have obviously loved that boat, it's not a charter, tender, the
Yeah.
tender tour. But in the grand scheme of things, I think he would have been like that guy. Like, I don't know.
I feel like he would be for like other things, but he's been out like on Lake Michigan where it's horrible. He's been in rough water before and he
That's
probably
true. That's
understands
true.
it. And
You're
he's been
right.
seasick
He
before many
yeah.
times.
Yeah. No, I'd be the same. Yeah. We already talked about this. I'd be the same way, but and I get it. I wouldn't want to be on rough waters either. And if you can't do anything, here's the thing too, is like what they don't understand is let's say the boat did go out in those rough waters. It's rough. You're gonna get sick,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're not gonna let you swim or anything. Like you
No,
can't,
yeah.
you know. So I think their argument to that would have been like, well, we just want to be moving, but that also just wouldn't be fun. So
Yeah. No, it would just suck. And I know it's a reality TV show, so they're gonna show them complaining, but at the
yeah,
end of the day, I mean, even that tender ride was a good way to be like, hey, you see what's out there? That sucks.
yes,
You don't want to do that.
yeah.
But
Isn't that crazy how different the water is in the port? Just the way they set the port up to
yeah,
protect it from the waves. Like that's pretty cool.
I think they call them breaker walls.
Yeah, yeah. So cool. My question is kind of just I could not come up with like an episode specific question because I was like, this episode just is what it is. Like, what in the world?
Mhm.
Um, who do you think will come back next season now that we're like basically done with the season?
I think, I mean, Luca, he's gonna be on Below Deck for a few years.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
would
crowd
say so. He's
favorite.
like a solid choice for a bosun next year.
I think. Well, I hope Laura comes back.
Well, Lara, maybe she'd come back as yeah, like lead deckhand again, but I don't know. I feel like she'd have a higher. Oh, my prediction though was her coming back as bosun.
Oh yeah, I could see that too.
So, but I get what you're saying where it's like Luca and Lara are both super strong characters that I think they're gonna want to have back.
Yeah, and then I guess maybe Jess in on
No,
the interior, maybe because
I don't see Jess being
yeah,
back.
everyone on the interior is pissed off. Well, besides Chef, obviously, but
Mhm.
all the stews have just pissed off Captain.
I know.
And there's a lot of other people that could do that job.
Yeah, I really just I don't see Kyle or Toomey or Natalia coming back. I mean, the only thing I could see is maybe hear me out,
Mm,
Kyle coming back as
Chief.
Chief Stew, but like that would have to be like Bravo really wanted him and
Yeah,
Captain Sandy. I don't know how much of a say Captain Sandy has. Like I kind of wish we knew.
yeah. I wish they would like at least Captain Sandy was able to talk about that, like how much.
Right. Like
Yeah,
say she has.
Bec-
Um
yeah, and it's just like she doesn't have 100%
no, I
because
don't think so. I think
yeah,
because I think she would have chosen Natalia as Chief Stew this season.
that and like she would have chosen someone like the engineers who you forget about, but they do their job
Right.
and no one cares because they're not dramatic.
Right.
You know, they're probably 35 and married with 2 kids.
Right, right, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. I'll have one solid prediction. Well, I think we can both agree like either Luca or Lara or both will be back. We'll have to see.
That'd be cool because they're both cool. And then
Yeah.
throw Chef Jack in there with Captain Sandy. And then they can bring in other people that are dramatic or whatever. But those three
Yeah,
are pretty cool.
um yeah, I just don't see chefs rarely come back season after season besides Ben and besides Adam.
Yeah.
You barely see a chef come back.
It might launch their careers a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know that story too of like if they are asked and if they say no. Um, I think it also has to depend on like whether they are like a quote unquote main character. Where if you think of Ben and if you think of Adam, they were pretty main characters. Like they were involved in a lot of stuff. They had like, boat mances and drama with the stews and like if you're a pretty unproblematic chef, unfortunately, you just don't come back, it seems.
Yeah, but also at the same time, you need different aspects of the boat to actually be working well. Because
Yeah.
you can have drama in the stews and you can have drama here and there, but it's a lot easier to have a chef that's doing well. But another point could be like, oh, if the chef isn't doing well, that's a whole thing, but the stews are doing
Yeah.
well this season. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of them, from what I've seen in the past, they take it more of like, I want to challenge myself as a chef. I don't really
Yes.
care to be on a boat, but I want to challenge
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, and I think Chef Jack even said something along those lines this episode where it was like, um, it's like I've done so many things on this chart or on the season that I've never done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so we start off the episode with Haley on her way back, which we kind of predicted because they like left us on a cliffhanger last week. Haley's good to go. She was really sick for a few days, but she's back. And that's awesome because Laura has to leave because she is sick. So she's on her way to the dock.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're good to go there. It's the last charter, which I guess I didn't even realize, but now at least we know next week's the finale. We never know these things because we
Yeah.
don't look them up.
I know they didn't really. I mean, they probably said it on social media somewhere, but yeah, like halfway
Yeah,
through the episode, like this will be the final episode. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah.
a drunk Q&A
Um,
is coming up soon.
oh my God, I know. We have to. Yeah, we have to figure out when we're gonna do that. Okay, so as we already said, last charter, they kind of dropped the bomb on us right away that the weather looks really bad and they might not be able to get off the dock. And then like a minute later, the the people come on and Chef Sandy, Captain Sandy breaks the news
Chef Sandy,
that
the bartender.
yeah, that they're not going to be leaving at all, which is crazy. Like it's crazy that they know for sure the whole charter they're not moving.
Yeah, and I was at first I was thinking I'm like I would be like, well, maybe we could leave, but that's
Yeah.
the equivalent of like telling your like a girlfriend or boyfriend like, hey, we might break up soon, and then you break up with them. It's just like
Well,
ripping the band-aid off.
yeah, it's like the equivalent of like Captain Sandy would do everything in her power to get that boat off the dock. And
Mhm.
if she had even a 1% chance of, hey, I'll look at the weather tomorrow and I'll let you guys know, she would say that. Like, she
Yeah.
would say, I know for sure we can't leave today. I will check back with you in the morning. She was basically like, no, like she did not want to give them any hope, which means it's 100% for sure they can't go out.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
So that really sucks. So Toomey and Luca were trying to come up with things to do. Sandy is like really I mean, as she should. She's like on them. Like if they're bored, we're too late. Like
Mm.
you have to be on top of it. And I agree with her. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they did that. Like I think they took too long to figure out like the stuff they were gonna do. And the guests were like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, they should have like immediately brought them into like a around the world shots or something like that. Like that just came to my
Hmm.
head while I was listening to you. That took me 3 seconds to think of.
Well, or here's what I thought that like I didn't really see from Toomey or Luca or anybody really, which it could have happened and they just didn't show, but I feel like they would have shown it. is to just go in there and put your best face on and be like, hey guys, this freaking sucks. Like, we want to get off the dock, like, but you know what? We're gonna do everything we can do. Like, what do you guys love to do for fun? Like, just I don't know, just kind of like,
Dad's coming in.
um, hey, hey, should we feature Dad on the podcast?
Hey, Dad.
What'd you say? Okay, did you hear that?
What did he say?
to the pool? Okay, we'll be done with this probably in like a half an hour, and then I'll come to the building.
I was making sure you're
right. Okay.
What did he say he was doing?
He said, I'm going to the bathroom.
Oh.
So he had to come in and let me know that. But anyways, I was just saying that, like, I just feel like they could have gotten on top of it being like, I mean, this is what I do with my clients. Like, if the more real you can be with people, the more they respect that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just feel like they were on their heels and the guests got bored and then they were trying to catch up.
Yeah, I think that's always the best approach is like, hey, this sucks. I also want to be out on the water. I also want to jump off the boat into the ocean, the clear blue ocean. Like, I don't want to be at this smelly port with a bunch of storage containers.
Right.
But, yeah. And then they go in there, they're like, what's going on, guys?
Right. Like, put on a show, man.
Put on that YouTuber intro.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Captain Sandy didn't really call them out for that, but she's also just trying to be like, do everything she can.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, Chef Jack did like step up to the plate and he's like, hey, I know this is going to be super food dependent. And he's like, I'm going to try to, like, you know, knock this out because like the food has to be amazing because they have nothing else going on.
Yeah. And so far so good.
Yeah. I figured we'd go over in a second the food that they showed us, the one meal that they showed us. But before we get to that, I wrote, I don't know if these guests like each other.
No, they don't. There's no way. I mean, everyone else, but like the main couple, what the hell is his name?
No, okay, so the main couple, the guy that they showed complaining the most, he's not the primary.
Yeah. It's like the younger couple, right?
Yes. So the primary was that the younger couple, and they didn't show them complaining. They really only showed what was his name? Jeff and Stephanie or something.
I'm like 95% sure it's Jeff and Stephanie.
They were the ones that were complaining and then fighting in their room.
Yeah. Yeah, it is Jeff, and I'm pretty sure it's Stephanie. Yeah,
so,
he's just such a baby. Like, just go without me. Just go without me. Go without me.
I know.
It's like, just go eat dinner. Asshole.
I know. Yeah, he was being a baby. And it's like, when they showed that, I'm like, man, they're reaching for some drama right now because we're listening to two charter guests like bicker. I wouldn't even say it was a fight. I would say we're listening to two charter guests bicker in their room outside the door.
And it's nothing too crazy. Like, every now and then people just get dramatic, you know? It's not the worst thing that's been done on a boat.
No, but I was like, we're reaching a little bit there, but
yeah.
And then they go on that cruise around the port and Kyle goes, it was Luca, world's shittiest booze cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes,
but hear me out. Oh yeah, go ahead.
He goes, we're going to take them around the port and show them a whole lot of nothing. World's shittiest booze cruise.
I was gonna say, okay, hear me out. You can have that idea, right? Like, Luca saying that to us on camera is whatever, right? Like, you know, like, it's true. It's not the greatest booze cruise you've ever been on. But you could have really pumped it up, and I hope they did. Like, I feel like Kyle, out of everybody, I feel like was trying to make this the best he could.
Oh, yeah.
For the guests.
He was, yeah. He was screwing around, like, all right, he goes, Laura, or not Laura, Haley, let out the anchor. We're taking off. Even though they didn't have
And
an
she's
anchor.
like, really?
Yeah, she's like, are you really going to let him drive?
Are we letting him drive?
Kyle's like, that was a joke, Haley.
But I know, it's like, I just feel like me and you, for example, like if we were guests on that,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been something we would have really tried to like make
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
Like play music, blast, and maybe they did. We don't get to hear music on the show, but
Yeah.
maybe they were blasting music and drinking champagne, and I'd be like, look at that shipping container, and
Look at that fucking
you
thing.
know, that thing's huge.
Yeah,
Wonder what's in there. Let's guess.
Yeah,
like,
we would just be cracking jokes, playing music, ripping shots, like
yeah.
I mean, me and you just usually try and make the best of any situation.
Yeah. So although it was the world's shittiest booze cruise, it could still have been fun, which I think they did end up having a decent amount of fun.
Yeah, I think they did, but we didn't get to see that.
Yeah. So I've said this before, but it is frustrating that we don't get to hear the music. Like even when they show the dancers, which is like at the dinner we're going to talk about in a second, but you don't get to hear the music that the dancers actually play.
Yeah.
So it seems weird every time I watch something like that, like whether they have dancers or musicians or some sort of entertainment. It's never actually really what the guests are getting because they can't play the music. And so you're like, is this actually good or was it not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like every time they're in the bar, every time they're at the clubs, that's not the music
Right.
they're listening to. They're
No,
not
so you're like,
listening
wow,
to musical instrumental number 17. Like they're listening to
Yeah.
Drake and
right.
other famous people.
Yeah, so it's just funny because you're like, oh man, they're really getting down to this like cookie cutter music,
Yeah.
but they're really not.
They're not.
Okay, so then there's dinner. Did you want to talk about the food for their first like dinner on the
Yeah.
boat? What do we got going on?
So, did you catch the first dish?
Yes.
What was the first dish?
Chilled cucumber and basil soup with truffle.
Okay. Because I just couldn't find it, and I was running out of time because I know it's a little late.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I don't know
I was
how
gonna
much
say,
I like chilled soup.
well, that's not even the part that gets me. Yeah, chilled soup is a something, right? But
Yeah.
I would trust a chef
Oh,
if
yeah.
they right. But there are well, I've said this before on the podcast. Two things I hate that I won't eat. Number one is mushrooms, and truffle's a mushroom.
Hmm.
And then the second thing is onion. But if I had to categorize a third thing, it would be cucumber.
Oh, really?
I don't like cucumbers. I've tried them like on multiple occasions. Yeah. So when I was like chilled cucumber, basil, truffle,
Yeah. That'd be a tough one for
honestly,
you.
it'd be a very tough one for me to try to have an open mind on. But they really liked it.
Yeah.
The guests really liked it.
Yeah, there's no part of that you would like, because it's not like you're like, hell yeah, basil.
Well, yeah, I like basil, don't get me wrong, but I'm
Fine.
not like, oh, I'm a basil fanatic.
Yeah. And then we
So-
had poached salmon roulette, is how they said it.
Yeah.
I definitely spelled it like roulette, like the game. I don't know how it's actually spelled with
So did
beetroot.
I. I thought that was actually how it was spelled.
And that's how it's pronounced, with beetroot. And
Yeah.
I was kind of in a rush, but from what I saw, they didn't really say exactly what he put in there. But some of the recipes I looked at use a lot of acids like vinaigrettes, lemon, and to offset that, they use bay leaves, thyme, sapphire, and parsley, which are all grounded and earthy flavors. Oh, sorry, I just hit
Wow.
my mic. And the guests loved it.
Yeah. Interesting. That would be one I could try.
Mhm.
Like I'm not as I was going to ask like what a roulette was. So that's like what it is, like what you just read, like
Yeah.
the type of
And it's kind
dish,
of
I guess.
like From just visual alone, it's just salmon in like a very thin sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice Chef Jack really likes beets?
Yeah, he does. He likes a
We've
lot
seen
of
multiple
yeah.
like root.
Yeah. Like a lot of things that I look up, they're like, this is a root. Like, how do you even know
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah. Gosh, I really hope we can get him on because I would love to ask about that. Like what um
What's a
where
beetroot?
does that come from? Like what cuz it does seem like something he cooks with a lot, and again, it's
Hmm.
not something a normal person would be like, I'm going to go pick up a beet and make,
Yeah.
it's definitely like a trained chef thing. So it'd be interesting to know like the idea behind that, like what the reasoning is.
Yeah, if I had to guess, he probably grew up eating that way.
Or was trained that way, like trained in a certain way.
Yeah. Every chef is completely different, trained by completely different people, so who knows?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, and then was there any other course besides just the espresso martini? Like was the espresso martini the dessert?
I
Because I swear, I mean, I watched it and wrote down, and I was like, well, it was just those two things and an espresso martini.
I think there was a dessert, but I don't think that we got to see it.
No, we definitely didn't because
Yeah.
I was like, that just seems weird that I don't think I would have been like, I don't know. An espresso martini is like a dessert drink. So I guess that could have been
Kinda.
categorized as their dessert.
Yeah, but I think there was a dessert. I don't think Chef Jack would be like, yeah, just give him an espresso martini.
Yeah, because he obviously didn't make it. The
Yeah.
stews would have. So
I think they just skipped the dessert because it was just a good dessert, and then they ordered espresso martinis after that.
I know. Yeah. Man, they're really not giving us much on this episode. They could have
No.
given us the dessert. I want to see the dessert.
I know.
Mm.
At least they gave us most of the food. Well, the two courses, which is cool because
Yeah.
then we get to talk about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they gave him pretty much like creative control. So we'll get to see what else he makes next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think next week is only going to be an hour, or do you think it's going to be more than an hour? I feel like there's so much going on that's like can't happen in just an hour.
Yeah. And if I was a betting man, and I am, I would say a 2 hour because there's all the Natalia drama, and we have like 2 more days of the
Yeah, on this
charter,
charter.
and then we have the final dinner. We have everybody
Yeah,
leaving the boat. Yeah,
right.
it's at least 6 to 7 hours. No, I think it'll be a 2 hour.
Yeah, or at least an hour and a half or something. So we'll have to see. So honestly, the last thing is just Lily's game night, which was great. I love Lily. I love that for her. She had some hiccups going into it with the marker exploding
Yeah.
everywhere, but that's just such a Lily thing.
They she really saved it though with those glasses that she had. It looked like she
Oh,
meant to have that. Did you not notice that?
glasses. No, I didn't notice glasses.
So she got cleaned up, but she still had like a streak of green in her hair and a little bit on her legs. So she had like her like costume on with her uniform, and then she put on the same shade of like green sunglasses on her head. So it like matched.
Oh, wow,
And
look at her.
yeah, no one noticed.
Yeah, but that's awesome. The guests really loved the game night thing, which I was
Yeah.
really glad because I was like, "Oh, they could be like
Dicks about it.
too good for it or
Yeah.
whatever." But we did see one of the guests' butthole. I knew I was gonna say that or as you were taking a drink.
I thought about it. I thought about saying something like that, and then I'm like, I don't know. And then
No, we straight up saw her butthole.
yep,
Like,
it was just her
here's the
butthole.
thing. She wore quite possibly the worst outfit you could wear to do something like that.
Yeah. And
It
she
was
didn't have to do
a
it.
skirt. Or she could have been like, "Hey guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go change for game night."
Or just have, like, someone hold a pillow behind her or a blanket behind her. Like, it's kind of a
So many
buzzkill,
options,
but
really.
it's better than showing your butthole to, millions of people. Thousands of
Yeah,
people, I don't
it
know.
was straight up, yep. So, uh, so that was, I guess, the highlight of that.
Yeah, that was. We probably wouldn't have seen the game night unless that happened, so good for her, I guess.
Oh, and then truly, like, that was basically it. Then we just kind of start with the buildup of Natalia's return. Like, Chef Jack is talking to her on the phone, which we've seen multiple times. Luca's texting her. They're like being flirty. And yeah, that was basically the episode.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they try and make something dramatic about Lily staying up too late. She went to bed around 2, but then nothing really came of that. And
I didn't even
then,
notice that. They tried to make drama out of it.
yeah, they showed Toomey going down while Lily was still up with the game night, and she texted her, like, hey, as soon as you're done, go to bed. And
Yeah.
then they pointed out that she went to bed at 1:45, but nothing really came of
No,
that.
I don't think that that's like them being dramatic. I think that was just Toomey being like, "Hey, when you're done, go to bed," and then that's when she was done because the guest didn't go to bed till 1.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking more from like an editing standpoint. Like you wouldn't include that unless you had something to go into. So maybe next week she'll say she's tired or something.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. They've done that before, though. They've done that before with like, just I guess they've made that point of just a certain. Sometimes stews will stay up later than like some nights than others because of guests. So I think that's all. I think that's all that was.
yeah, probably just showing like a timeline or something. But
Yeah.
then we got the last meal we saw was breakfast before they go to Portofino.
Oh. Oh, you're right. We did see breakfast. What do you got on breakfast?
It was eggs Florentine. And I was like, that looks exactly like eggs Benedict.
Yeah, it
And
did.
it's basically the healthier version of eggs Benedict with no Canadian bacon, and you add spinach.
Huh.
But it's
But didn't
still.
they have bacon on it?
I don't think so. Because they just.
I thought it.
The two options
Go ahead.
were quail egg and avocado.
I thought it was bacon and avocado, though. From the way I took that was, you can either have it like it's gonna be either bacon and avocado or quail egg, bacon and avocado,
It could have
like with or
been.
without egg.
It could have been regular bacon, because I think
Yeah,
eggs Benedict has to be Canadian bacon.
has to. It's a rule. It's a law.
I don't make the rules.
And
I just
we'll
kind of
get
know a little bit
arrested
about
if
it.
it's not Canadian
He would have
bacon.
got shot in the
Polish
head.
ham.
Get the fuck out of here. Call the fucking SWAT team.
Yeah, they would have called 911 or whatever that is in Italy or wherever they're at. They're in Italy. But yeah, that's how I took it, which is like, do you want egg or do you not? But yeah, I didn't even make notes about it because I was like, oh, it's just breakfast.
Yeah, I was really confused, and I just wrote some notes down just in case you're like, so what about breakfast?
But then yeah, then they're going to Portofino, and that seems like hopefully that'll be fun. But I don't know. So the coming up on that foam party, it looks like the foam party could turn into not very much foam.
Yeah, and like these guests they're on the edge, man. You gotta have everything
I
perfect.
mean, you do, and I'm not giving them permission to be like assholes, right? But it's like, yeah, we're not getting off the dock. Everything else does have to be perfect. The amount of money I'm paying,
Yeah,
everything else should be perfect, you
that
know?
the money that I'm not getting back.
I know. That was going to be a question. That was going to be like maybe my question of the day was like, do you think they get any money back?
No. I think in past seasons they've talked about it where like no matter what,
Really?
when you charter this, if we get off the dock, if we stay on the dock, you pay the exact same.
And they probably sign a contract saying that.
Oh yeah.
Like we don't control the weather, we can't, and so you have to take your chances. I know what I didn't write down that I was going to mention was when the guest asked Haley on that
Tender
the
ride.
tender cruise. He's like, "Are we the only ones that didn't get off the dock? She should have just lied.
Yeah.
Why'd she have to tell the truth?"
I don't know. I would have been like, "Oh, this happens all the time." Exactly. Same exact answer. It happens all the time.
Yes.
Don't like push this guy further into his beliefs that he's getting screwed over by God or something.
Exactly. And that's how I would have handled it. I guess I wouldn't have straight up lied and been like, "Oh yeah, we've had so many." But I would have been
Yeah.
like, "This happens all the time to people." Like,
Yeah.
even if I would have like generalized it where it was like, I wouldn't have said our boat. I would have said, "Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
there's bad weather all the time. People charter boats every day. It happens all the time." You just
Yeah.
got to be more general where she's like, "No, it didn't happen this year. The only one this season." Like, oh God.
I know, like it's such an easy lie. Like it happens all the time because there's millions of boats in the world. Sometimes they break down. A lot of time there's bad weather, and they still
Right,
run
yeah.
charters. But if the guy asks, "Has it happened this season?" then you got to
Right.
tell the truth. But you could have got
Right.
away with it.
You could have tried at least.
Could have tried, yeah.
Okay, so anything else of note on the coming up on?
Laura comes back. Kyle starts. I'm just gonna go down the list. Laura comes back. Kyle starts drama with Luca. Jess and Luca break up. It seems like before they go on their adventure, traveling to. Where are they going? Paris.
Oh yeah, the Cannes Film Festival. I think it was
Yeah.
the Cannes.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not the film festival. Maybe it's just Cannes.
And then Jess makes out with Max, and Lily gets pissed because she's pissed at Luca. And we've seen this about 4 different times. So.
Okay, my question is, does Lily actually get pissed?
If I had to guess, I'd say she was pissed at the time, but then the next day she's probably like, "Yeah, who gives a fuck?"
Yeah, I guess that's my question is like, does Lily actually care? I don't know if she
Yeah,
does.
because neither of them have been like super into each other. It was more of just like a drunk thing, like flirting when they're at work.
Yeah.
But it is below deck, so they could freak the fuck out. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was about it. Before we go, I wanted to tell you about my adventure today.
Okay.
So, I'm staying in Arizona, and my dad and I traveled to Oatman, Arizona today. So shout out Oatman, Arizona. If anybody knows what that is, then you have to like live around it because it's this tiny little like touristy western town. I don't think you've been there, Lane. I think that mom has, but this was my first time there. And they have wild burros, which are just donkeys, I think. I think they're the same. And they just hang around. Like you can like pet them. Well, you can kind of pet them. They're always looking for food. So number one, it reminded me of Thor. So
Yeah.
Thor is a burro where he's like, "Don't pet me, but you can give me treats." But as we were leaving, I'm not like I'm not like a super touristy person. Like I'll go and see and I'll appreciate it, but I don't have to do everything touristy and stuff like this. But as we were leaving, I'm like, I'll just go buy some of the burro food. Like they sell the food kind of like for $1 in like most of the stores. So I went and I got some, and it's like this big bag, and I'm like, I'm not gonna feed all of this, but I was doing it, and they're like these little, I guess it doesn't matter what it is, they're like these little pellets, but I'm feeding them, and I turn away for 1 second, and the burro had eaten the food out of my hand. It bit me in the stomach.
What?
I swear to God, I turned away for like a couple seconds at most. It bit me in the stomach, and I would show it on camera. It's not that bad. It's kind of like like when you pinch your skin in something and it looks like a little bit of a bruise, but the skin didn't break.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. So I got bit in the stomach by a wild burro today. That was my day.
I did not know where that story was going, but that's hilarious.
It's a pretty good story. Yeah, so, and that was about the most exciting part of my day. And then I came back and took a nap.
I basically looked over your dog all day, and people bothered me at work. It was really annoying.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, we will be back next week with the season finale. And then we'll go right into the next season after that. And we keep saying this, but we will update you on the Q&A very soon.
Oh yeah.
Anything else?
If you have any questions you want to ask us for the Q&A, put it in the comments, and we will write it down, and we will answer it during the Q&A video.
Yes, we've already gotten a few, so we're keeping track of those. So that'll be really fun. Thank you for continuing to listen and subscribe on YouTube. We, continually see those numbers stay the same and go up, which means people are coming back, which we really appreciate. And yeah, we just want to say thank you like we always do.
Yeah, thank you. And the word of the day is burrow bite.
Burrow, or just burrow.
Burrow, okay.
Burrow, yeah. Any burrow experts out there, let us know if there's a difference between a burrow and a donkey, because I don't know that there is. They look like donkeys to me.
Yeah, all the burrow experts that watch our Below Deck podcast.
I'm sure there's so many burrow experts that are watching this right now. So, hey, I always throw stuff like this out there. I always throw this the most random stuff because it's going to hit one day. Somebody's going to be like, I actually am a burrow expert. And then who's going to be laughing?
I guess you.
Yep. So,
yeah.
All right, guys.
Go ahead.
What do you got?
Nothing. It was going to be a terrible joke. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much, and we'll just see you next week.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, so
my car is stuck at the bottom of my driveway for the past 3 days, and you're complaining.
Why can't you get it unstuck?
Because there's so much snow.
Well, that's your own fault because you didn't shovel until we already had 2 feet of snow.
Okay, you've seen my driveway. It's like a mile long.
So is mine.
Yeah, but you don't shovel it by hand.
Yeah, but I'm not, well, you don't have to shovel it all.
Anyways, this is her home address. Everybody ready for her home address?
Who's on my side that Lane should have shoveled more than one time after it froze 2 feet of snow?
It froze 2 feet of snow. You can't shovel that.
It didn't happen in 2 seconds.
Shovel an ice rink and then come talk to me, all right?
I think people would be on my side on this.
I don't think so. It's like a quarter mile, 1/8 of a mile long.
Your driveway?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should have shoveled your whole driveway. I'm saying you should have shoveled around your car so that it didn't get stuck like it is.
Well, that wasn't the problem. It was the other side of the driveway.
Oh, you ran into the snow on the other side of the driveway?
Well, it's on an angle, so I pulled out and then I tried to go up the angle and then I went far back.
So you slid?
Yeah.
That sucks. Yeah. I mean, yeah, anybody that lives in the Midwest knows that when you get snow and then it freezes, there's not a ton you can do. Salt doesn't even really work until it hits a certain temperature. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm not innocent in all this, but I would have had to gone out there while it was snowing to prevent it.
That's what people do.
That's what people do.
Whatever. That's what Brad and I did.
Whatever. I'm too busy.